Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, is it me or is there absolutely no promotion for the Dragon Prince until the season comes out? This is
It
it's
feels
not
like it, man. Every time it feels like, hey, Dragon Prince, it's here. All right,
to be
see ya.
honest. This time they stuck to the release date they planned. I'll give them after season 5. I'll give them credit. They stuck to the release date. I know that it's a weird thing to commend them for, but you had to be there for suddenly the season to be available. Like what was it, 2 weeks before the date it was supposed to premiere at? So yeah, that it's something. But anyway, Dragon Prince Season 6 is here. I watched it last week, but we were too busy talking about Deadpool, so we didn't. We're only talking about it now. And
I mean, Deadpool's better than Dragon Prince.
I mean, it's probably a bigger franchise, but.
It's better than Dragon Prince.
Okay, but you know what? To be fair though, we are fans of the Dragon Prince. Actually, if you've been with this podcast for the for the same time that Dragon Prince has been around, you know that we've been covering this show since the first season. We've been covering it
mm.
as it was coming out, and you are talking to friends here, even if seasons 4 and 5 left us begging for more.
It's definitely been a bit of a lull point for Dragon Prince, in my opinion, for quite a bit. Right? Did season 6 fix that?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it did fix that. I think, there's maybe a few nitpicks here or there, but ultimately I think this has been the best season in a while. For the past,
I
this
think
is the best season out of the past,
out of the
season 4, season
yeah,
5, season 6 has
yeah.
definitely brought it back in my opinion. Yeah.
Mhm. I would definitely agree. I've seen people call it the best season in general. I'm not sure yet if I could go that far. That's
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Maybe not. But I when I'm looking back at it, I don't think this has the same peaks seasons 2 and 3 to me.
It's been a while since I've seen season 1, 2 and 3, so yeah, like especially
Yeah,
season 2
but the
and
thing
3.
and I think also the first 3 seasons had more time to sit down and stew. This is only a week old, so it's
Mm.
probably gonna be a while until I can tell you if it's the best one or not. But regardless, considering I think season 5 was one of the angriest podcasts we ever did, and not because the
There's
season itself was like terrible or something, but I think this is the one where I just remember us being more. You know the term "I'm not mad, I'm just
I
disappointed."
think that was the
Like,
one where you were like, we both came in with very different perspectives, and I won you over on that one because I was the one who came in. It's like,
you,
man, I wanted to like this so bad, and just did not like season.
no, because I think 4 I was a bit more forgiving for about initially. It's only afterwards that I was kind of like, didn't really care for it all that much. And then suddenly season 5 was just so underwhelming in terms of where are we even going with this story
Well,
anymore?
the biggest
Uh,
complaint for season 5, right, was that it felt like our villains, Claudia, Viren, and our villain group, what just felt like they were a non-entity, and it definitely felt, at least to me anyways, season 5 felt like our good guys. We have to basically get our good guys to a point where the villains can pose an actual threat, so we basically have to have the good guys constantly just the meme of sticking the stick in your bike spoke wheels and falling over and going, how could they do this, when they were just
no,
basically screwing themselves over almost constantly by doing just the weirdest shit for I just don't understand for what reason.
yeah, even though I will say season 5 had great moments, it's just the overall story that didn't really go anywhere. And it is kind of a problem when halfway through your revival, quote unquote. the story didn't really progress in any meaningful direction. So I was a bit skeptical going into season six. Honestly, I was even going into this being a bit cynical about it all. And trust me, and if you're new to this podcast, I'm a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I've been through shit. I know what it is when a franchise you like disappoints you. So if you manage to jade me out of a show, you're probably doing something wrong. But then again, I went into season six, and yeah, it fixes things. The Dragon Prince is back. Holy
It,
shit!
I don't know if it fixes any issues I had with season 5, but
No, no, no.
it
I'm not
definitely
going to say
brings me
that.
back, right? It definitely makes me go, all right, yeah, I'm back into Dragon Prince somewhat. Something I think we should talk about though. I assume season 7 has to be the last season, right?
They confirmed that it is.
Okay, I yeah, I think I'm at that point right where hold on, I gotta sneeze. All right, I'm
Yes,
back.
you're at
Sorry,
that point.
had
Eh,
to sneeze.
oh, okay.
Um,
You- You're
I,
at the point of sneezing, and
yes, I
you
am.
could. And
Ugh, that time of year. I kind of feel like even coming into season 6, right? I can kind of feel it's like, all right, I'm ready for this to be done at this point, right? I don't know if I want to sit around like season 7. I hope season 7 is satisfying because I don't know if I'm here for a season 8 of Dragon Prince, right? Like it feels like I'm kind of done with this show almost. Like I'm kind of experiencing, I guess I'd say like Dragon Prince fatigue in a way.
you're getting burnt out.
Yeah, I would say so.
And to be honest, for one, they confirmed that season seven is the last one. At least with or with all their other stuff, we don't know. Maybe they'll be like, "Hey, we have a new show to do." Like, this
I
is
hope
heavily
not.
inspired by Avatar. Maybe we'll get the Korra to the Dragon Prince at some point. You may never know.
Mm, maybe, but it's one of those things of all new characters.
Mhm.
Fuck everything from this one. Go do
Uh,
something else and somewhere else, just anything. But I mean, I don't think they're going to because I feel like they have explored the majority of. I feel like I feel like through all of these seasons, we've explored a large to the majority portion of this world. I'm
yeah,
not sure what they would come back for, right? Because
yeah.
that's like the thing for Avatar. Like for Korra, we got to see parts of the Avatar world that we had never seen before, and a completely brand new
And
place as
and
well.
in and also in a different time. So
So
it's
maybe
like you
if
saw.
you maybe if you do Dragon Prince set in like a future time where things have progressed, maybe.
Well,
But
either way,
yeah, yeah, I definitely am feeling like the fatigue of Dragon Prince. I'm definitely like, all right, I'm ready for this show to be over. I think
I will say I'm not necessarily feeling fatigued, but at the very but this season did bring me back to the point of okay, I'm not going to watch the final season out of obligation. I'm going to watch the final season because I want to see what's going on and how things will end.
that's fair.
Which
I would agree with
which
that.
is good. Like consider because I'll tell you there are plenty shows that I felt like that at some point I was just watching out of obligation to either the podcast or just to my own sick curiosity, glaring at another dragons show that won't be named here. And if you know us, you know us, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
To be fair, it didn't get 7 seasons.
Yeah. What do you mean it
God,
didn't get? It got eight. What are you
eh,
talking about?
well, I mean, not as I mean, technically, the way they're supposed to be, like, aren't some of those supposed to be like more grouped together?
Okay, fair, but at the same time, if this is how they're releasing them, then
I mean, all right, fair, fair, fair. All right, fair. Never mind. It got 8 then.
Yeah, but either way, not to even say that these two shows are in the same ballpark, right? Because they're not in terms of quality. But the point is, I'm glad that I can say I'm legit excited for season seven, and
Fair,
it's not
very
just that
fair.
because and season six was a legit good time, which I did enjoy watching.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely give it that. Now. shall we just go into spoilers?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, people they are used to the song and dance at this point for Dragon Prince. If you've been here for this ride with us, right? Cuz this has been a
so
long ride.
so anyway, we are going to go into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, because the season is still relatively new, it's only a week old at this point.
Mhm.
So go watch it. Come back later. We are recommending it. We liked it. It is definitely a return to form. So we are starting spoilers in three, two, one. Still here? Okay. So what do you want to talk about first?
Oh man. I think I'm going to talk about my very first thought because it is I don't think we're going to get fully into it yet. I think we'll come back to it, but my very first thought watching the show, because the first thing we see, God, please do not make Erebos a redemption villain too. Please don't.
It doesn't seem like they do,
It
but
I don't feel like they're going to, but I also feel like there's just that slight possibility that's just out there on the outlier, right? That they might do it, and I'm like, I'm
I
watching
don't
you.
think I
Don't
don't
do it.
think
I'm watching
I
you.
don't think they're going to redeem him. I just think they're it was just meant to show you the backstory.
Yeah,
And to be fair, it was an effective backstory. Like that
agreed.
backstory actually surprised me. I was like, damn.
But if they use it to make him a redemption villain, I'm
Oh
gonna be
no, that
like,
would suck.
fuck
That would
off,
suck.
show.
Yeah, that would suck. I am not going to argue there whatsoever.
I'm not even sure how I feel about Claudia being potential redemption villain either, but we'll see.
Mhm. Well, to be honest, I think at this point, actually talking about things that I liked right off the gate, Claudia was. I really like what they did with Claudia this
No,
season
I would agree. I think they did
because
really well
to
with
be honest,
Claudia.
I've heard because I think it was kind of this joke that since day one, I want to say, because this is from the same people who brought us Avatar: The Last Airbender, that she's kind of going to be the Azula. And to some degree I get why people would think
I've
that, but it's
I have never agreed with that idea for everything I
well,
have seen from Claudia has never.
here's the thing though, here's the thing, I think it's more the people more see her as the Azure because she's the daughter of the big bad, and she has a brother that starts on the wrong side and then defects and everything. In that sense, people have made the Azula comparisons, but she was never the Azula type, because let's say if Azula and Claudia hung out together, there's a good chance that Azula would fucking kill her at some point. They wouldn't. If anything, Claudia is a bit like May
uh
from the
May's the circus girl, right? The bendy one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
if anything,
I would, yes,
she's more like a.
way more like May, who's more evil.
Mhm. But but again,
Slightly more
comparing
evil.
her to Azula doesn't mean that she's the exact same type of character. But if you had to compare the anarchy, let's say, not anarchy, if you had to compare,
Actually, based on backstory we get from this season, I would say Zoran is technically more Azula now than
To some
Claudia.
degree, yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, but we'll get there. But so I like the way that they transitioned Claudia into more of the main villain, especially because we start with this.
Well, we
Oh,
finally
shiny.
also we get shit from Viren now that just makes his journey from the last two seasons feel like, all right, I understand it more, right? Like it makes a lot more
Mhm.
sense and it works better.
Yeah.
I know you couldn't have revealed what you revealed now earlier. I'm not sure there's any good way to work that in. But Viren's always felt, at least to me in these past two seasons, Viren's very much felt in this kind of limbo state where, fuck if we know what to do with him. And now it
Like,
feels
yeah,
like,
good.
yeah, we figured it
That's
out.
I think Viren was kind of like the my example for the show, because they had great scenes with him. Like in the previous season, there were great scenes with him. But what are you actually going to do with those scenes? Where are
Mm,
you going with this? This is what I'm questioning right now.
agreed. At least in the
So,
past seasons, right?
hmm
Now it
well,
feels like, hey, they had a plan with Viren and it's very well done and well actualized.
mhm. But anyway, now you have whatchamacallit. Now you have this where Viren is finally like, I'm free, I'm alive, I feel free again, and we see what effect it took on Claudia. And then there's this actually really heartbreaking moment where he tells her, I'm going to atone for my mistakes. I'm going back to Catalyst. I'm going to face the justice I deserve. And she's like, and it's like, in a way, you can tell why he's doing that, but it's
Well,
also fuck. But it's also like, fuck, you are not willing to do to your daughter what she's done for you twice now. And he does, but he does tell her, hey, uh,
I actually I want.
sometimes there are boundaries you have to put up, even if it's for family. And it's
Mhm.
like, damn.
Actually, yeah, I kind of liked how they did that because I sat there at first. I was like, Viren, you are the biggest. I swear I hate you. I swear I hate you for all the wrong reasons. God, you're such a dumbass. I need to be a father to you, Claudia. I'm going to abandon you, Claudia, in order so you can learn, so you can find your own path because I failed you, but I'm going to be a good father now and abandon you. And I'm like, this makes zero fucking sense. And then you kind of sit there and you think about it. You kind of listen to what he's saying a little bit more, and it's like, no, Viren is a shit father, and this is him continuing to be a shit father, but he thinks he's doing something good still. Like, no, this works for him.
Yeah.
Actually, it actually, it actually works and makes sense when you sit there and think about it for a bit because Viren's not been a great dad to either of his kids. The fact that even when he's trying to be a better person and realizing that he wants to, go down a better path, he still fucks over one of his kids by doing so. Like he
Yeah.
still fucks it up.
Mm.
Like honestly, that works really well. I actually really ended up liking that the more I sat back and thought about it, right? And that he would
Mm.
just kind of,
and
hey,
and
I'm
to
not
be
gonna
honest,
guide you through this, Claudia. I'm not gonna help you. I'm not gonna help you figure shit out. I'm just gonna walk away from you now.
yep. And to be honest, I know you don't really like Terry, but Terry is total awesome
I don't
for.
mind Terry. It's just he feels so like I just have it just he felt so out of place the villains in season 4 and season 5, and he still feels out of place, mind you. It's like, why he feels like the most, why are you here? How did you of all people end up here of all places? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. But
But to be honest,
sure.
yeah, but
You're
to be
not
honest,
hurting anything by being here. You
but
don't
I think this season
make it worse.
Terry actually proved Terry proved his usefulness.
I
He
would
was
have
a really
he makes more it works better in this
he
season,
was a really good partner to
right?
Claudia. I think actually, actually, I will say, okay, hear me out here, okay? I know
Mhm.
that there are going to be angry people about what I'm going to say, but I think he and Claudia have better romantic moments than Calm and Rayla do in this season.
Yeah.
No, don't do this. You said I'm right. Damn it, you agreed with me. If
I
I'm
agree and
sinking,
I
you're
also
coming with
disagree.
no, no, no. You're not going to back out of this, motherfucker. You are coming with me. If this ship sinks, you're sinking with me. And yes, we will get to that part. Oh, I have the stuff to say. But anyway, moving on.
But
but this,
yeah.
but you know what? When the season starts with this was a really good way to start. I appreciate this because again, it already hits you in a way, and you're already like, this is interesting.
No, I completely
So
agree. I mean, the only thing that's, probably like kind of all right, we're doing this kind of like, we did the cliched thing of cutting the hair, right? And it's like, all right, changed person, new person. It's like, all right, whatever, but for majority of it is done really well in like, Viren leaving, how that affects Claudia, Terry being there for Claudia and helping her, Claudia trying to abandon Terry so, she doesn't get abandoned again, right? And like how that affects her. And just there's a lot of emotion going on here and within this, and it just sets up for what happens later. a lot
And I
better
will say,
now.
if we are on the subject of Claudia and Terry for a bit, I just want to say in episode 3, they are basically the B plot of the episode. And notice that for most of the, I think even all of their scenes, not a one bit of dialogue is mentioned. You just, the animation, their expressions, and their actions tell you the story, and it was beautiful. I
Mhm.
love that. It was so
Agreed.
good.
It wasn't until like very later on, I think, there started to be dialogue between them, right? But even then, it was very little, if any at all, for most of the
To be
episode.
honest, I am not sure what to think about Claudia still wanting for some reason to revive Viren. He like, girl, let go. For the love of God. And to be honest, there's a good chance that she may have to suffer the consequences for it in the next season because the cliffhanger is she totally brought Erebus back. Question is she actually going to face those consequences or are we just going to ignore it?
Mm.
We don't know yet. We
You know,
shall see.
speaking of like episode 3 and kind of everything's going on there, right? Our big, one of my biggest complaints for season 5, especially, right, was that it felt like the good guys were just consistently self sabotaging for no damn good reason. So people are probably wondering because we have the pearl and everything or whatever, the prison, right? For Erebos' prison, we have that. It's back in Catalyst and everything, right? And we
Hmm.
have this thing of this very obvious scene of Callum saying, "No, I'll go," because Callum's already been mind controlled once, and it seems like um,
Yeah, this is basically his main motivation this season.
yeah,
He
he does,
doesn't want Erebus. He doesn't want Erebus to take control of him again, to the point that he actually tells Rayla, "If he does, you kill me." End of story.
yeah,
And
but
then when he decides to go, when he decides to go and replace the prison and put like
they do
the
the
candy,
blanket that's
yeah,
like it's supposed to be an anti magic blanket. When he puts that around it, like he'd already been controlled once, and they have this big idea now. They're gonna take the pearl, and him and Rayla are gonna travel off and go do a thing, right? And it's like, all right, well, do you want me to go down there with you? And there's this whole scene of, no, no, I'll do it by myself. It'll be totally fine. It's a
yeah. This
very
was the
obvious.
point.
Well, okay, so you did, the real
So,
Pearl's still back in Catalyst, right? We all know,
yeah.
right?
This is like a. I know where this is going. Why?
But
Which obviously the reason you're doing this is because, to be
I,
honest, they
I
have some sort of a clever workaround around that. But we'll see. But
but
yeah,
I bring that bit up though, right? Because again, going back to season 5, like again, one of my biggest complaints was it felt like they were constantly self sabotaging, and it just didn't have a lot of, in my opinion, good sense behind the quote unquote self sabotage, right? It
yeah,
just didn't. It felt, even though it didn't necessarily feel out of character, it just felt like, why are you doing this? I get why, I get it, but at the same time, it just doesn't make any sense in the story you kind of purported and were trying, like Ezra wanting to go and rescue all of the glow toad, babies, right? I
yeah.
get why Ezra wanted to do it, but we spent the later, the early half of that season with Ezra going like, no, guys, we have to do this. We have to figure this out. We have to focus on this after we go save these glow toad babies for no damn good reason. Then we can focus on this, but put everything at jeopardy. But we have to focus on this, though, guys. Come
I
on.
will say
And it's like,
though,
what? But
I
hold
actually
on,
did.
let me finish
Sorry,
real quick. Sorry.
sorry,
So
sorry. Go.
for this one, for Callum being like, no, no, I'll go down there and get the pearl. Don't worry about it. It feels fine. I'm okay with it, right? Because it's like, I get what you're doing. You're not very subtle about it. It's very obvious to tell what's going on here. You've not shocked me, but I'm okay with this one. This one doesn't feel like self sabotage. This one feels like, oh no, this is something Erebos has set into motion, right? And you get that feeling with everything that happens throughout all of the season, right? Is that okay? This is the shit Erebos has just set into motion. This is the way he wanted it to happen. I don't
It
feel like the good guys have actively made just the dumbest choice in the world for no good reason.
It's still a bit iffy to me,
It is,
but
but
I get you.
it
I
feels
get it.
better than season 5 in my opinion, right? With
Yeah.
the Pearl switcheroo, but didn't actually switcheroo.
Yeah, and but also there is a kind of a clever around that because there is a reason because they do manage to find to have some sort of a solution to the fact that the prison wasn't actually switched around.
Mm.
So I'll give them that. And also because you mentioned Ezran, I really liked Ezran this season. Like, and not that he was terrible in the previous seasons or something, but I just like that because a part of it is also because that kid's voice is still, you know, still high pitch. You know, you can tell that this kid hasn't gone through puberty yet, so he still has that young boy kind of naive young boy voice, which is which is good as when he's a boy after all. But I also like that if in previously he tried to see the good in everyone, now while he's still a king that seeks peace and that's great, I also like that there is a bit more of what's the word I'm looking for, a bit more spice to him, because when villain shows up, he doesn't show him any sort of fucking mercy. He sends that fucker to jail.
Mm.
And I like that because it shows that despite the fact that he's still a kid, he's still growing and he's still learning. He
We
won't
also got
trust
we
this guy
got to
again.
see a bit more of the mature Ezran again that we got like so long ago that then kind of just disappeared for a time, right? And then
Yeah, and also when he's negotiating with with the Sun Elves, you
mm,
can this is not it's a kid, but it's like damn, I wish some world leaders would actually take a few lessons from that kid, you
I
know?
wanna I wanna point out
Yeah,
calling your fucking episode title "The Red Wedding." You are
yeah,
really putting
that
a lot of
the,
shit on
the,
that episode.
yeah, that was a bit on the nose, I guess.
It's like y- you're taking a page out of a book that you need to really live up to. So, did they live up to it? I would say for the most part, yeah. In a show that's not trying
We'll
to be that.
we'll get to the wedding part in a bit, but because we're talking about Ezra, I wanted to point that out because I thought that was seeing him actually negotiating and also having to plan for battles and everything. That was really cool, and I think it was a good evolution for his character. I think I like what they're doing with Ezra, most definitely.
No, I would agree. I liked Ezra's character a lot more in this season than I did in the previous season.
Hmm. Elm was never really bad. It was just that the story around him didn't really allow them to be a king, and now it allows them to be a king
Well,
because.
it felt like it also
Uh,
kind of set him back somewhat, right? It felt like, all right, we've seen this character kind of evolve and move forward, and then we get season 4, especially season 5, and it feels like he's kind of regressed backwards somewhat. And it's like, what happened? Why? And then this season, it's like, all right, we're moving forward again. Like we get more of the Ezran that we had of old. Good.
and with that being said, so do you want to talk about the wedding since we touched upon it? Or
Um, is there anything?
well, I will say Amaya and her now wife. I like them. I think they're good. I think it's really indicative to how good characters they are because when one can talk and the other can't, it really shows a lot of commitment and a lot of trust between the two, right? And
Mm.
I enjoyed how they're combining human traditions with Sun Elves traditions. But then again, while I found that plot interesting last season, I really couldn't care less about the brother this time around.
Um, honestly, I think that's okay. I think that's kind of the point. The brother has been like, listen, the fucking Kareem and Janai and what's the other? What's her? What's
Like Amaya's wife,
Yeah,
then
Amaya. Yeah, Amaya. That's the word I was. That's the name I was forgetting. Amaya. So Amaya, Janai, and Kareem, like the entire deal with the Sun Elves has definitely been carrying the show for a little while, right? in
Like
my opinion.
last season, I thought it was the only plot line that I was actually kind of invested in.
Yeah. So I think it's fine that, the plot line with the Sun Elves is starting to feel like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. And, Kareem's not really carrying it as much anymore, right? That's fine because I think that's the whole point. Because again, his entire idea is right, like, oh, we get Sol Regum, and Sol Regum destroys Janai and Amaya and the rest of the Sun Elves for us. And then you get
But
later on,
then
and it's like, oh, that's not what's
solving,
happening here. This is
yeah.
done.
On the one hand, I kind of like that they portray that because I like it when the show can catch me off guard and I'm actually not calling out the shots. But I'm also like, this. What was actually because it's like, oh, you have five armies. I have a dragon. This dragon is going to like make. This dragon is going to make a barbecue out of your five armies. And then suddenly, it's just like in like a Janai's army just destroys him, and he's like, "So Regem, where are you?" And we don't even know what happens to that asshole. We just see that the wedding went accordingly, and then Azran gets the letter that that Katalas is destroyed. It's like,
I
wait a minute,
assume with the noises they made, Kareem's dead.
yeah, Kareem's dead,
I
right?
hope he's dead, right? Because that story's done. We don't need to come back to
Oh man,
Kareem or anything.
imagine if suddenly Erebus comes back and he and Kareem fuse in the next season. This would be so stupid.
It's gonna be one of those things of like, no, let this villain be done. He's over. He's done. We've had our
To
time
be
with him.
honest,
It was really good. Move on. But this show has a problem with doing
I
that
just want to say
sometimes. So
if I because sometimes our jokes actually happen. So if I ended up calling it, I apologize.
you're off. You're the reason of why. You're the reason. You're what's wrong with this show.
Ah, it's nothing else. It's just me, little old HC podcasting about it. That's the problem with
Listen,
the show
the
that we're
show
doing
was
this.
on the rise, HC, and if they do this fusion bullshit, then you've ruined it. You've ruined season
Yeah,
7 for
I
me
did, not the writers, not everyone. I did for making a
because
joke
you
and
called it
accidentally.
first.
Yeah,
No, but like, yeah, based on, I assume this is the end of Kareem's story. The whole Sun Elf storyline is done at this
mm,
point. I'm happy with that.
yeah.
This was
Like
the
I,
perfect
I.
ending because it's like, yeah, he had all this ambition and it was just Erebos using him. And it worked out exactly the way Erebos wanted because Erebos just wanted revenge against Soul Regum.
I might want a bit more of a conclusion, but even if they just off screen him and say, "Oh, he died in the battle," just mm, fine. I don't care. Just let it, just but just don't completely ignore this because like we spent so much time on this just to be like, haha, no.
I'm fine with it personally. I have the conclusion to the storyline that I think is that works for me. I'm
And
happy with
but
it personally.
and speaking of Soul Regem attacking Katalis and everything, I have to say, yeah, we don't know. Maybe Viran is revived in the next season. I don't know. But if he went
No,
out, he at least went out in a cool way, and he got a good way. He went out well, and
let Viren also be gone completely. Don't
yeah,
bring
I
Viren
agree
back.
with that. No,
This
don't
man has
do
been
this.
brought back like twice already at
Th-
this
This
point.
man, this man is like has a revolving door in hell at this point.
I swear he literally does. Like he is like dead. I'm back again. Dead. I'm back again. Don't do it a third time,
You remember
please.
you know the game Hades, where every time you
Mm.
die, like it
Hmm.
counts as part of the thing. Yeah, like he's just like that. He comes, yeah, he dies, he comes back. Hey, 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 Hades, I'm here. I'm going out again.
Let this man die in peace. He's at least earned that much.
Yeah. So I think if this is really him dying, he went out. He went out in a
We
respectful way,
should,
and I guess
talk briefly about Viren's death. Best backstory they've given in the show, I think, so
yeah,
far.
to how, yeah,
That
God, I
like
can't
just
believe.
everything for like, why his wife left him and just like why he went down the path he went down to save Soren, and then how he ended up blaming Soren for his wife leaving and his family being
Yeah,
destroyed.
that was so. I remember looking at it and I'm like, fuck, that's tragic, but it's also psychotic that, like, he did this to save his son, and when the wife wasn't really complicit with that, he blamed his son for being sick. That's like, dude, that's not the problem. You are the problem.
But again,
Your wife.
this comes back to him just being such a terrible father and it just working this season. And it's like, yes, you did so well with this. I think the Viren stuff this season is probably the best.
Yeah,
It is
that
the
was
best thing of this season.
that backstory was really good, and also just
And that's
the
why I feel like you
conversations.
can't bring Viren back.
And
Don't.
I think also the conversations between Viren and Soren, because man, Soren is fucking pissed at him in this season, and I think this is also the reason I don't want Viren back,
Yep.
because he and Soren had such a good conclusion to their arc,
Oh,
and
yeah, I love, right? Like, the one good thing Viren does for Soren, right, is just not telling him. Like, hey, Viren could have told him the truth, could have left him everything, and then finally he does the one good thing of like, no, this is something I just have to take with me to my grave, right? It's like,
yep,
all right, good, so good, it's so well done. It's like, yes, this is like, you nailed this one. Keep
yeah,
this
definitely.
shit up, do more shit like this, and you'll have me like, I'm sold on season 7. I'll come back and sing the praises of Dragon Prince if you keep shit like this up, right?
Amen.
Because it's like, you know what? You will have like the sins of season 4 and especially season 5 will have been cleansed in my opinion if you keep shit like this up.
Agreed, definitely agreed.
And coupling that right as well. I feel like, because in that same episode we have this thing of and I loved how they did the animation of it and how they shot everything right in that you have the star touch stuff, the celestial elves, right? We meet them
Mhm.
in this season. How one of them can see into the future and like he sees in the future and tells Callum, right? It's like, oh, you know, you brought us the wrong pearl. The pearl you brought was fake. And in the same episode, right? Excuse me, you have Callum going to like, oh, I fucked up and getting super depressed and just kind of like falling into this like really dark area where he's completely broken, right? In that and how he fucked up and everything, and you have it come to the end. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
sometimes
Mhm.
not telling the truth is more is. I'm not sure how I feel about the lesson here that they're trying to send, right? But I get what they're doing, right? In this, like, hey, sometimes not telling the truth is an okay thing to do because that can be, some truths can, harm a person more than just not saying anything, right?
Mhm.
Again, I'm not sure how I feel about the moral of the story in this one, and that the moral of the story is, hey, lying is okay. Not a great moral, but I get what you're going
Yeah,
for in this one.
I don't think it was necessarily supposed to be a moral, more that it just things worked out.
Yeah, things worked out in the way that they worked out, right? Specifically. I get it, right? That's just kind of me just kind of looking at it and going, But overall, I still loved how they did the, hey, this is how you can tell this isn't real by the black and white sort of stuff going on, right?
Yeah,
And then
that
again,
was also
coupling the like, hey, sometimes some truths, given at certain points, can be devastating to that person when that person doesn't need that right now, right? I kind of I liked that part of it, right? It's like, hey, tell the truth, but tell the truth in a moment that it works, not just when it works for you. And I also like that too. That idea as well of like, hey, sometimes you're telling the truth to only make yourself feel better and just to just to harm someone else as well. But you're only doing it just to make yourself feel better because now you've shifted that burden off of your own shoulders onto someone else now. I also
Mhm.
loved that as that part of it as well, personally.
Yeah, definitely agreed.
And combining all that and like again, like Viren having all that happen while Viren is getting ready to give this letter that he wrote for Soren, and Soren would know everything, but Soren doesn't need that right now. That's not going to be helpful to Soren. That's going to actively devastate Soren. more than
Right.
likely. And it would
Mm-hmm.
just make Viren feel better. It's just, getting the burden off of himself and him burning the letter and saying, sorry, I have nothing I need to tell you. Actually, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
that's yeah.
So,
So
so good. Like,
yeah,
genuinely
if
the
I
best episode of this season.
mm-hmm. And so we talked about a lot of stuff we like this season. So can I guess slight tangent to something I didn't hate, but I think it's more just a carryover
Hmm.
from the previous two seasons. Let's talk about Raylan.
Yeah, we've had a bit of that going on and off throughout this season. We had the whole, like,
I
hey,
still
we're staying
stand
on the
that
ship. And then at the very end, the ship says Raylam as it's burning and sinking.
it actually says Raylan.
Yes,
Oh
other people noticed that, and I had that pointed out, and I was like, "Oh
no,
shit, it
because
does say
no,
Raylam."
because oh God, no, because honestly, because the fact that Callum actually goes, I get that it's a ship. It's a ship. What would people actually draw drawings of it and write stories about it? It's a ship. It doesn't and like writers, are you trying to take the piss out of me? Are you trying to get a Are you trying to get a raise out of people? Because let me tell ya, some people are rising like a goddamn souffle. But what in the fuck was that supposed to be? Was this supposed to be commentary?
I mean, probably.
But I think it kind of, not to say that I actually did that like this, but like considering, I'm not sure if it just us because maybe there are some people out there who liked it, but I don't think what they did with Raylam in seasons 4 and 5 was that well received to the point that because it feels like they were responding to some sort of criticism that was thrown at them, and I still stand that criticism is fucking valid because Raylan was done so dirty. At least Rayla was done dirty. Callum was kind of justified, and then he was done dirty, while
Yeah.
Rayla was basically nothing. They really didn't know what to do with this ship because I guess they were supposed to be endgame,
Well,
and then suddenly like, shit, we have more seasons, so we need
it
to
feels
stretch
like,
out.
right. It feels like a thing of what they're trying to do is set up that Callum and Rayla just aren't good for one another, right? Is what they were trying. It feels like they were trying to set up
Well,
that, hey, no, well,
the end of the season kind of it.
yeah, yeah. Hold on, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I get it. I'm
Yeah.
getting there. It feels like, at least to me, looking back now with this season being done and having watched it, right, it feels like now it's like, okay, you were trying to. It feels like, I could be wrong, but it feels like they were trying to set up this thing of, and yeah, it feels like they were trying to set up this thing of, okay, these two, Callum and Rayla, just not good for one another. They bring out the worst in one another to some degree because they care so much, right?
Hmm.
But that didn't come across very well.
No, not
And I
at
think
all.
they dropped the ball on it. I personally respect them if that's what they were trying to do. I could be wrong now, but if that's what they were trying to do, I respect that they tried to do it because you don't often see shows do that where here's this really popular ship, but we're going to tear that ship down because these two people just don't work well together. They just should not be together, right? And then you get into the ending of this season and it feels like, okay, you've definitely backtracked on that, or you just did, or you're still trying to do it but you're not getting it across, but you just never got it across very well to begin with. I not Again, I could be wrong on this. Either they were trying to do that and they just failed at getting across very well in any way, shape, or form, or they've just outright backtracked on it. I can't say, but
I tell you what,
it's
the way
definitely
okay, the way I see it, right?
mhm.
The way I see it is, if they didn't want to, let's assume this is the end game, and we find out that Callum and Rayla are actually not that great for each other, and the ship is literally sinking.
I mean, we
Then,
know for a fact, right? There's going to be a thing of like, hey, You have to kill me in order to save the world. No. You have to kill me in order to
Here's,
save the world.
eh,
No.
I know. But here's the thing: if this is literally what they're going for, then it kind of makes me hate the entire point with seasons 4 and 5 even more,
Fair.
because that means so far, if because let's think about it. So these two have the romantic chemistry for like less than just in terms of episode count, they were actually a thing for less episodes than a season contains. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this is not how you build up a gut wrenching conclusion to a romance. No way in hell.
Fair.
If
Fair.
this is not the way, and especially you don't do this whole thing, them being like them fighting and bickering and all that, and then conclude the season with, oh, actually, I shouldn't have been mad at you at all. I should have. Which, by the way, this is also a thing. No, Callum is in the right to be mad about Rayla. It's that they never actually talk about this like an actual couple.
They never
And,
talk in general. They just
yeah, they never
someone will
talk
be
about it
like,
in
"I need to
general.
tell you this thing I did. Why did you do this?" And it's like, "Well,
Yeah.
I did
Again,
it for
let's
reasons." And
say
it's like they did
I
the same
tell you
thing
what,
this season too, where
I'm
Callum
like,
finally admits to using dark magic again. Right? It's like, "Why? Why did you do it?" And Callum's just like, "For reasons."
which
And
by the
it's like,
way,
just tell her.
to be honest, the way they're talking about that dark magic thing, it kind of made me think like it's written like they're talking about doing drugs. Is it just
Yes.
me?
Oh no, you're. And I think that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah, I think, but again, because of this, it doesn't come across as two lovers caring for each other. It comes across as two teenagers who don't really know how to handle a relationship.
To be fair,
And then
maybe that's also what they're trying to go for, right?
maybe, but at the same point, here's the thing: if this is the point, then the mission kind of failed.
Also fair. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, like you can say this is the point, and I'm like, okay, fair enough that it's the point, but the point isn't done well.
No, you're right.
If and again, for the
Big if.
record, if they really go for the whole, maybe they are not meant to last, then why even end the season with them being together? Two, if this is really your end game, then we should have had more time with them as a couple rather than making jokes about it's a ship, what you gonna do, draw pictures of it? What a loser for liking the characters we created. All of this, just it's like, okay, if this is really what you're going for, then I'm going to quote Jake Peralta: cool motive, still murder.
I mean, it's 100% what they're going for, right? Because the ship
Yeah,
literally, as many people noticed and pointed out, literally had Raylan. Like, it went from Ray of Illumination and it said Raylan on it as it's burning and sinking.
that
So it's
that
like,
was and
that's
again, and then you
100%
go
what they
from
were
this
going for.
and then you go from this to Callum being like, Rayla, I found my light, you are my light, and it's like, bull fucking shit.
Yeah, that's when it's like, if you want to do that commentary, Rayla cannot be Callum's light. And I would not, this is going to be my guess for next season. They're going to do a thing of like, no, that's actually not Callum's light. His light is insert thing here.
He's
And
something.
you're going to
Imagine if
realize,
they call
wait,
back to
no,
the
we're not in a
imagine if they call back
relationship again.
imagine if they call back to the first season where Callum has kind of a mini crush on
Oh my
Claudia.
god! And Claudia is his light, and like they had, we let Rayla die. Oh, fucking beautiful! I love it. Let's go. It's gonna be
No, it's not
terrible.
beautiful.
That's why I love it. It's terrible.
This
That's
is
why I love it.
this this is M. Night Shyamalan walking into the studio and be like, "Listen, I'm taking over this shit."
A part of me hopes, just a small part of me hopes, like, oh fuck, they figured it out. Oh fuck, that is bad. Fuck, rewrite. A small part of me so hopes that was the actual
Yeah,
plan,
they're
and
like,
we called it here.
what is it? No, like they're like they'll listen to this and it's like, why do you think we did it? What make you think of Jim? Burn the papers.
A small part of me hopes so much. They shouldn't do
Oh,
it though.
you
It
know,
would be bad. It would be so
like
bad.
no, listen, if they actually do this, then I can tell, imagine all the in 10 years from now or after the final season comes out, you'll see all those YouTube videos of like Dragon Prince really fucked up its ending or something like that. You'll
Mm.
see all of those YouTube analysis talking about how good the show was until this one point in time where everything just went boom.
Now we should say, right, as an idea that can work. As an idea within Dragon Prince and specifically with these characters, it doesn't work for a lot of different reasons, right?
Yeah, and for the record, it's not like the idea isn't necessarily there. It could have been a good idea. The thing is that
It's the way
with
they've
the way,
written everything up till this point
yeah,
though.
if this is really the end game, then the way to that end game is shit.
And it
But
would definitely be a very bad thing to do in your final season. It just would not work out well at all, and you've not set up for it well enough.
Mhm. But to be honest, I will say the Callum and Rayla, adventures with with the Sky Owl, with the Moon Owl, sorry. And that I'm not really sure what to feel about the idea that Rayla suddenly figured out, oh, that's no giant. It's actually we don't need to kill it. It's actually, looking for its mom or its owner or something. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's smart. I'm not entirely
It
sure,
it's
but
kind of
okay, sure.
it's kind of one of those things of this is fine. It feels a little bit Deus Ex Machina, right? Words,
Mhm.
but it
It's
feels like a
Deus Ex
little bit kind of
It's Deus Ex Machina, but yes.
yeah. It feels definitely a little bit like out there, right? It feels like this is kind of like random that she all of a sudden realizes and remembers this information right at this moment, right? But
Yep.
it's fine. It's one of those things of it works. Like you don't really think about it too much, right? It doesn't feel overt, I guess you could say, right? It's kind of like in the background of like that's a little weird, but you don't think about it too much or dwell on it too much, so it doesn't matter all that much, right?
And like it's fine. I didn't and for the record again, we said it before, we said it again, the animation in this show is really good.
It's come a long ways,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, you remember when season 1 came out and everyone were like, "Oh wow, this looks really uncanny."
It
Yeah.
looks uncanny. It looks bad. Like it's weirdly framey in some ways, right?
Mhm.
But they've come a long way, and they have really nailed their animation style since then. So, and they're able
Yeah.
to do so much more with it now.
Mhm. So yeah, definitely there are improvements, and again, for I don't hate Raylam. I actually think it's a cute chip, but
Well, I mean, they had good
I am
character
just
moments this season.
I'm
I feel
I yeah, they did too, which is why I'm kind of pissed to say that the writing is shit if they actually go in the way they are cluing us in that they're going.
well, I don't think they're
What
going that way. I hope they're not going that way. If they do, well, season
if
seven's not going to be great. But
uh, well, I
so
guess we'll have to wait a year or until Netflix decides to drop
it's
it
kind of
whenever.
another thing. Like I kind of hope it's not a year between these personally, right? Because
It
a
was
year, I know it was a
I
year
think
for the for season 5 and season 6. It's pretty much almost a year, right? Maybe a little over a year, but I kind of hope season 6 and season 7 isn't a year. I feel like that might be too long of a wait, but maybe that's just me. Definitely,
uh,
to be
uh,
clear, don't
and
rush
to
it,
be honest,
right?
yeah, don't
Don't
rush it.
overwork people, don't rush it. Take all the time you need. But it definitely feels like I don't know if a year
I
feels
think I think it was a year between season 4 and 5, and now 5 and 6.
yeah.
So
So we'll probably be season 4 was in November of 2022. Season
oh,
5 was
okay.
in July. So it wasn't quite a year, but it was very close.
Mhm. It was a bit more, but yeah, you may never know. Maybe they'll drop it in a few months or something. We'll see. Once they do, we'll be here. But
Stealth
oh
released
boy,
that shit one final time.
hmm
I
oh man,
still love that to this day. That just it maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not running in like popular enough, like where circles where people are like Dragon Prince, Dragon Prince. But I swear every time it feels like, yo, new season of Dragon Prince out. Like, what? When? When did that?
Yeah,
What's the thing? What?
yeah. Well,
Every time.
again, every time it feels like it's kind of out of no. Actually, apparently, for people who were at Comic Con, they screened the whole season to people who were at Comic Con.
I heard. I heard about that, which is wild, but yeah, that's I think they've done stuff like that before where maybe not the whole season, but they've definitely like done Dragon Prince stuff at Comic-Con like that was really big reveals that people just had to come and talk about.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's their big thing and it's just weird how they don't advertise this show and how they do and where they do end up advertising this show at. It's like I get it, but at the same time it's like you could give us something, Netflix. You have the money.
Do they?
I hope. Otherwise, how are we going to get season 7?
Well, yeah, I know. I'm just joking
No,
because
fair, fair.
they have the money to make the season, but to advertise it,
It's
eh.
too much.
So, but with that said, we're kind of tangenting. So yeah, Raylam, I sure hope they're going in a good direction with this because what the hell? Just what the hell?
I might be setting myself up for failure, but I am going to choose to have hope for season 7 and for the end and for how they will take and for where they will take Raylan for the ending for season 7 and everything. I'm going to choose to have faith in them. I'm
Hmm.
probably set it. I hope I'm not setting myself up for failure because again, season 6 definitely was once again a really good step forward, just like season 2 was way back in the day and season 3 was especially. So I hope that they can take this momentum from season 6 and run into season 7 and we get a
Well, that's
really
all.
solid ending. I am perfectly fine
We,
with having two seasons that are this was weak, this wasn't great, and then going into two strong seasons to end with. It would feel
we,
really shit if season 6 and season 7 both were just kind of meh still, we're kind of meh still.
mhm.
So I'm glad we
we
got a
should,
strong season. Sorry.
yeah, no, we shall help. Is there anything to it that we didn't talk about?
Um,
I'm trying to think.
I mean, should we talk about Erebos' backstory? We've kind of mentioned it here or there, but
Yeah,
should we
I
kind of
think
end
you know
on
what.
talking about
Yeah,
Erebos since he's the big thing?
might as well talk about that. Yeah. So good backstory. Wasn't expecting it. Wasn't ready for it. But I sure hope they're not going to do the redemption thing. But I
Don't do
think
that.
this. Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Hmm. But I think for a motivation for a villain to be a villain, this was really good.
I
I
agree.
like it. This
And
was
I
a good.
agree that and I also like how it definitely feels like hey I like how we're setting up this idea of like Erebos is kind of like no fuck how the world works. I'm just gonna destroy it all right because the way the world works, my daughter was killed because of that. Fuck all this shit, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, like Erebos still like he's still not a good dude. Right? I love how Terry was the one who mentioned. Oh, and this is kind of where it's like, all right, I'm starting to come around on Terry, right? Because at the very end, he's the one who mentions like Claudia, maybe you shouldn't bring him back because yeah, Erebos' story might have started off, in this idea of him loving his daughter and everything, but we're beside the body, the dead body of, Sol Regum, the person who he wanted revenge against, who he's been after to kill for so long.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's like, so, this story can't be about love anymore. It's about revenge now. And it's like, are you sure you want to do this for him? And Claudia's still choosing to do that for him and still help out, Erebos. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm very interested to see the dynamic between Claudia and Erebos now that Erebos is, spoilers free. Also,
Well,
did not expect that dude to be fucking huge. By the way, what?
yeah. I think I'm not sure if it's just that thing of okay, he's
I
just
mean, we
big
can.
because only now he came back and everything.
It's also,
Oh,
he can probably change his size, but still, it's like did not expect that one. But okay, weird.
hmm. Yeah, well, to be honest, he is kind of a big deal. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's one of
Fair, fair.
those. I guess it's just one of those. Huh? Guess it's yeah, he's a giant. Sure, why not? He's this big godlike thing, so why
Yeah,
not?
I mean that's definitely how they've been setting up the star touchdowns, right? To be like basically the creators almost in a way of this world and everything. Like you even have this thing of Erebos saying like, "Hey, I cried for like 1,000 years and ended up creating this entire sea because I cried for so much and so long when they killed my daughter," right? So they're definitely setting up like these guys are basically like this world is created by them somewhat to some degree, right?
Hmm.
And getting like a little bit more of the other star elves and kind of seeing like how apparently they have rules and things like, hey, you're not allowed to show the humans magic or give them magic or do anything, and it's like, fuck me, man. It's like just going back to, god dang, elves really hate humans in a way.
Hmm.
Super racist.
Super racist.
And it's like,
Well,
maybe I do agree with Erebos. Maybe you should destroy this world.
I mean, let's see where things are going with that idea, right?
Yeah, I definitely want to see more. They've definitely piqued my interest once again, right? 100%. So I'm curious where they go with it and what they do with it. My only hope is don't try to redeem Erebos. Don't try the things that I do not want to see them do for season 7. Do not redeem Erebos in any way, shape, or form. Just don't. End of
Yeah.
discussion. And don't do anything where it's like, oh, Callum found his light. It was Rayla. So the ship is back on again, guys. Oh wait,
Actually, no.
Callum's light actually isn't Rayla. It's this other thing that was all along that he didn't realize within himself that's his true light. Don't do that. I get why you would want to do that, but if you're gonna do that, make it fucking count because are you destroying the ship again? And if you're destroying the ship again, holy shit.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like, please don't, just don't, please.
They put themselves in a very tight position, right? And they have to walk a very fine line to make things work if they go about doing it that way, right? And they only
Mhm.
have one season left to do it, and it's like that. It's
Mm.
you're in such a tight line. You have such a tight line you have to walk
And it's
that
like,
it's
I'll
gonna
be
be easy to
honest,
fuck it up.
I'll be honest, they can either they can either lend the dismount, but they can also completely crash and burn.
Yeah,
And to
it's
be honest, I
very.
want to have enough trust in them to say they're going to nail it. But then again, we've been burnt before with this
I mean,
show.
season 4 and season
So,
5 doesn't give me that faith, right? Sorry, I can't give you that. I cannot give you that kind of faith because of season 4 and season 5. You might be
mhm,
able to do it, and I might come back season 7 like, man, they did it. They fucking stuck that landing so well. They fucking like nailed that shit. But
mhm,
I can't, as of right now, because of season 4 and season 5, I can't give them that kind of faith right now. I can't.
yeah. But for the record, we are totally crossing fingers for them to nail it. We are looking
Yeah,
forward for them to
100%.
nail it.
Even
And
again, season 5, there was stuff we liked about it. We were just at least I was, and I think I made HC agree with me eventually. We were just disappointed in it because we want this show to do really well because there's so much good stuff here that we really love,
they've done super
and this
well
season
before, and they've done
proves that.
super well. Yeah, and they've done super well now. But if there are things that weren't done perfectly, we are going to call them out, and I just hope that we won't have to do that with the very final season, because when season 7 comes out, that's all she wrote, at least for this storyline and for the Dragon Prince as we know it. So I am just so I'm just hopeful that it's going to end on a good note because the Dragon Princess deserves to end on a good note.
Agreed.
This was a show that for as much as people, I am going to also say that I think the fan base isn't as loud as it was back in the original 3 seasons,
It's definitely
but
quieted down since then.
yeah. Maybe it's because I'm less online in fandoms these days for a lot of reasons, but I don't see a lot of people like talking about the Dragon Prince all the time like they did back here with the first 3 seasons, right? So maybe it's franchise fatigue, maybe it's because seasons 4 and 5 were underwhelming, but it doesn't have seem to have the staying power that some other shows did. And I hope that, you know what, that when season 7 comes, I hope that it's good enough that people will walk out of the Dragon Prince and say, you know what, this was a fun ass journey because it was for a good while.
This
But
season is
and
definitely the right start to have that happen, right?
Mhm.
Because like you have a really solid season going into your finale.
Indeed.
You've set the court for yourself so well. Like the ball's in place. All you have to do is sink the shot. I'm gonna choose to have faith that you can manage it because like you've won me back with this season. I hope that faith is not misplaced. I'm
Let
not
us
giving you
hope.
all my faith. You don't deserve it. I'm sorry. You've not earned that much back, but you've earned enough back for me to be like, all right, I think you can sink this shot.
Mhm.
Go.
Like, you earned enough back that I'm like, I know I see why I like the your show to begin with.
Yep.
I want to believe in you that you got this.
Yep. So here, so like all my hope to you, great, guys, like the writers, animators, all the people working on the show. All of the like, hey, you guys got this. You can do it. I believe in you.
Mhm.
Come on. Don't let us down. All the pressure.
Mhm. Yeah, no pressure whatsoever.
But ending thoughts, season 6, very good. Definitely brings it back. Go watch it if you haven't already.
Well, anything else to say?
No, I am good. I think we have covered
I
all we need to.
Yeah, I think we said everything that we need to say. We said everything that we need to. Now all we there's only one thing left to do. Wait.
Yep. And hope we get a really great finale. So
hmm So anything else to say on Dragon Prince season 6? So are
I
we wrapping up?
no, we're good. We can wrap up. Thought you just asked that question. What you doing over there?
Hey, I'm just making sure that I'm not wrapping up and it's like shit. We have something else to say.
I think we are good. I think we've covered everything we kind of need to, all the big major plot points at least. So I think we're good. I think we can end it here. Season 6 was good. Looking forward to season 7. Hope they stick the
So
landing.
So with that said, that's it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What do you think about the Dragon Prince season 6? And do you think season 7 has all the things it needs in order to land and to stick the landing? Or do you think it's gonna fumble? What are you hyped about? What are your concerns? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC,
I was Wolf.
and we will see you all in the next episode. Take care.
Bye bye.